Hey, what's up, team? It's Sherman here from Geek Psychology. Welcome to Introverted Intuition. No, I'm just kidding. So this video is about Introverted Intuition and let's get started. So intuition is basically looking into what is not being said, the abstract ideas, to understand what is going on. It's a perceiving function, so it learns, it gathers information, and it's not trying to make a decision. It's not a judging function. It's just saying, this is what's going on. This is how I understand it. So it's looking abstract. None of that tangible, sensory type stuff. Get that out. And introversion. Introversion is focused inward, bringing your mental energy inward, looking inside yourself, into your past, into your personal experiences. It's kind of narrowing down options and kind of building a structure to understand something. And so put those together, and you have this focus on the abstract ideas of a situation from your past. So those kind of piece together to make this pattern recognition kind of style and switching perspectives to understand what is going on. Which I'll get into that right now. So the first thing that I kind of like to think about NI as this timeline. Okay, you have a timeline. Imagine with me here. Join me on this voyage here. You have this timeline in front of you, okay? Kind of put that down on the ground, and you float up above it. This is an NLP technique as well, but it's kind of merging them. You float up above it, and you kind of go back towards your past, okay? And look down on it, and you're seeing what happened in these different situations. You're noticing how people reacted when you said certain things, how one thing affected another thing. It doesn't have to be related to people. It depends, on what your judging function is focused on. So you're just noticing how all these different things connect. And you kind of represent those as different symbols. Okay, just abstract symbols, whatever they are. And then as you float closer towards the present, you're kind of piecing together how things work on this abstract, pattern-based level. It's not tangible. Remember that. It's just what happened in the situation, how you can learn from how things happened before and where they could be going based on what happened, based on those patterns, right? So as you move forward into the present, then you start to speculate into the future a little bit more. And you're thinking like, okay, all these things happened before, so this will probably happen in the future. And it's more than just a probability. Like, extroverted intuition is cool with possibilities, rather. Introverted intuition wants to know the exact thing that will happen. It's like you have this upside down triangle, okay? And you have all this data up here, okay? And you start narrowing down more and more the different possibilities into the one true thing that will happen. The most likely, the most probable thing to happen. Whereas extroverted intuition is just like blah, and just goes out and it's fine with piecing together random stuff all the time. All the time. Trust me. Okay, so that's kind of how I like to envision introverted intuition now. Is this timeline, collecting these abstract symbols and ideas, putting them together to form patterns of patterns, and just understanding of what is going on and what will happen into the future. I think that was a longer explanation than needed to happen, but here we are. And also, introverted intuition is very okay with and very into, as if I'm like personifying this, which I like to do as well, going to the bigger, the deeper perspective of what is happening, the deeper view of what is happening. Like, if you're talking about like gun violence, because that's what's on the news, then NI users, NI dominance or auxiliary, more specifically, are going to kind of take that to the next level of like, this is why this is happening, this is what we should do, or this is how the US is going to turn out in the future. Like, it's just always digging for a deeper understanding of what is going on. And it just wants to understand, like, this is where it came from, this is where it's at now, and this is where it's going. Just over and over with like everything that they run into. Like the schooling system, or even like little things like, I'm looking around me for something. Plastic bottles, okay? It might look into like the environmental repercussions of these plastic bottles and like how humanity is being affected by it and how the world's being affected by it. So it's just like digging. And it's pretty cool. I like it. And it's not necessarily like intentional, because this is an irrational function. Perceiving functions are irrational functions. So it's just what happens. It's just when you see a stimulus or whatever, that is what your brain does. That's how it interacts with that to gain an understanding of what is going on. So it's not like, I'm going to think deeply about this thing right now. It's just, you don't do that. Another thing, like introverted intuitives, their brain is wired in a way that like they can, to go into this like Zen-like state, I said like so many times, to go into this Zen state, it's a matter of detaching themselves from the outer world, from all the stimulus in the outer world, and letting their brain kind of realize an answer. Finding all that information that's buried deep within their unconscious and bringing it out of the muck and showing that this is the true way of understanding this thing. This is where things are going. It's pretty intense if you think about it. I mean, like, to have a brain that prefers to just detach and bring in all this information, slowly pull it together, and then like swirl it into this true like gem. That's how I want to think about it. It's pretty cool. In an RPG sense, since I'm kind of jumping off into stories and stuff, I consider introverted intuitives as sentinels. These are elf hunters, or defensive hunters, if you want to call them that. It's that bow and arrow, that one shot, one kill type thing. Whereas gunslingers, the extroverted intuitives, are spread out, shotgun style, just all over the place, wanting novel challenges and stuff. Sentinels are wanting to piece together the information to find the true answer to a novel question. For the NE video, I talked about if they were to draw a map, it would be like this. For NIs, for these sentinels, if they were to draw a map, it would have, like, it's still abstract. And it's probably more, well, I can't say more abstract than NE, but it's in a different sense of it. It's like, you'll have the river, you can't see my hand, you'll have the river, and then you'll have like notes about how the flow of the water has changed over the millennia or whatever, like how the migration of the animal populations and human influence on the area and the giant meteor that crashed into the world, this is how it affected this whole ecosystem, and that kind of abstract, deeper impact, and looking into patterns and symbols and stuff like that. All right, some of the abilities, like Pierce, going deep, right? piercing through the main layer of whatever the topic is into deeper layers of understanding. Camouflage, the kind of what I talked about before, actually, where they just disconnect from the world, from the tangible sensory-based world, and realize an answer. So in this camouflage state, like the NI, the Sentinel is going to just back up, kind of meld in and watch. Look over the situation to try to piece together what is happening abstractly. Multi-shot, accepting two different ideas as being true at the same time. And then it kind of runs through a simulation of what is happening, what could happen from there if this were to be true. When it's narrowed down all the possibilities, either it runs out of options and you're like, oh, that's not true. That's not the correct path. That's not the correct way of thinking about this. Or that's the correct one. If it's not, then it goes to the other one. It goes to this other possibility and kind of runs through the simulations to understand what is happening within that. So, yeah, introverted intuition is very good at accepting different things as being true, kind of checking different possibilities and getting rid of those, cutting out different possibilities. So it's not going out, like brainstorming, like NE. It's that inverted triangle that I was talking about, where it has all these options, and then it kind of just narrows down into the correct way of looking at something, according to the user. It could be wrong. Things are wrong sometimes. You never know. Some of the other abilities are the critical shot. NI users have this realistic view of what is happening a lot of times. And people will probably consider that to be pessimistic or negative or critical. See what I did there? But it's just saying what is happening. It's like, this is going to happen. I can't explain it, but trust me. This is what's going to happen. And it's because of all that pattern recognition and kind of understand what happened in the past. And so from that comes the call of augury ability, which is the one that's giving this shout to everyone else to try to raise their awareness of the situation and help them be on defense for what's going to happen. And might not work. It depends on the other person if they're going to accept that or not. But a lot of times, like, NI users are like, I told you this was going to happen. You didn't believe me. I've made peace with it. And now you're starting to worry about it? Like, why didn't you listen to me when I said this 2 weeks ago? Dumbass. And the last ability is the freedom of movement, where you're able to detach from the situation and kind of float between your conscious and unconscious mind to realize the answers. In a game type sense, it would be just breaking free of the chains that are holding you into whatever position you're in and allowing you to check out different perspectives and whatnot. So that's the end of this video on NI. I hope it was informative. I hope it helped you out. I hope I didn't ramble too much. I hope you could hear me through my sinus issue that I'm dealing with right now. The next video is going to be on introverted feeling because I like it, and we're getting into the judging function. So stay tuned for that. Good luck, have fun. Right below if you got any comments, anything you want to talk about, and take it easy. Peace.